good afternoon, and if you're coming home from working a long 9 to 5, hope you're having a good night as we bring to you another BodySlam.net post a full recap show for UFC on ESPN at the Apex. We're not gonna go with the numbers because they were like UFC on ESPN 71 or
Yeah,
whatever. But yeah,
can't keep up
it
with
was
that.
um it was Tatsuro Taira against Sung Park on a really big weekend. There was a lot of stuff going on around the world, professional wrestling, mixed martial arts, boxing. There's always something that's going on this over the weekend, but this card was at the Apex, and it was a lot better than I expected it to be because usually these Apex cards are pretty weird and they're very like mild throughout the
Yeah,
prelim, whatnot, and then we'll get like that big finish in the end of like main event, whether it's Derek Lewis or some other entity in the world,
yeah,
and then we're like, and then we don't know how to feel about it afterwards. We're like, it's another cursed Apex card, but that wasn't the case here. Everyone had a great fight, especially the winners and a lot of the people who almost got close to making a draw
yeah.
in their cases. Um, but yeah, let's get underway right here. The card kicked off with the Venezuelan and Brazilians Piera Rodriguez against Ketlin Souza in the women's strawweight division, and this fight ended with a split decision. Piera Rodriguez winning it. But I'm gonna be honest, I don't think that it should have been a split decision. It felt like a
A
unanimous
hundred
decision.
percent.
It felt like a unanimous decision from the very beginning because Piera, I believe I've not watched her fight recently, but heading into this fight, she looked phenomenal. Muay Thai knees, the clinch work, the dirty boxing. Every time she slipped out of the knees, she would land an elbow to hurt Sosa, and it just continued even with the ground game. Um,
Yep.
she landed two she landed two takedowns per round for 3 rounds straight. And then the judges still were like, we don't know. We think this is a split decision. We think that
Yeah.
Souza, won one of the rounds at least. And what were your
Total
thoughts on this
bullshit.
fight?
Total bullshit. The split decision. I think that it was like at least Souza was putting up a fight, making it entertaining. 100%. Don't get me wrong, but she was getting pieced up on the feet and also getting taken down, like you said. So I don't see how that equates to a win, or literally in the eyes of the judges, literally would have gave her a win if one more judge agreed with that decision, and that's just crazy to think about. Thankfully, it didn't happen that way, so we don't have to talk robbery or anything like that. So, Pierre Rodriguez, congratulations. That was a
And,
great performance.
and let me throw up the predictions that we had out. We
Yeah,
did
me and
not pick
you
Pietro
both picked
Rodriguez.
Souza.
We picked Souza, and we would have gotten it if the judges were just very stupid as per usual. But
I
I'm
know.
glad we did it because I don't mind losing my predictions as long as the fighter who won it truly definitely won the fight.
100%.
Um,
Yeah.
and Pietro Rodriguez, she took it down. She did great. Her striking was just absolutely crisp. It definitely made me excited to watch her in her next fight. Um,
Hmm.
and Sosa is not a bad opponent at all. She's
Not at
very
all,
gritty.
dude.
She's very dangerous when she's in there with any kind of opponent. And these two were given the best opener, I feel. Like this was definitely a fight that you needed to open up the Apex card with because this is pure
100%.
domination with the knees. And when we go
Fun
back to
fight.
it, because I exactly fun fight. Pietro Rodriguez this was her first this was now back-to-back wins first. She defeated Josephine Knudsen recently, then Ketlin Souza. Prior to that, she lost to Ariane Kamalasi and Jillian Robertson, which every time I see someone lose a Jillian Robertson, I feel like it's destined to happen because she's such a great grappler. And if she gets
Yep.
you to the ground and those elbows come in, the arm bars come in slick and it's gonna take you out.
Yeah,
But
especially lately,
she's
she's been dominant.
exactly. Velasco Machado was the first opponent for Pietro Rodriguez back in 2021 for the Contender Series, and then she racked up two more wins over Kay Hansen and Sam Hughes. She lost those next two fights, and now she's back with another two-fight win streak. So she's a very dangerous opponent.
Yeah,
Uh,
seriously,
so,
dude. Contender on our hands, like 100%. Like you don't get that record by accident. Especially, it's like she had some losses, but she's bounced back well.
exactly. And then Ketlin Souza, her last fight was a loss to Angela Hill. Now she loses again to Pietro Rodriguez. The two-fight losing streak comes up after a two-fight winning streak over Manic Man and Yasmin Yorgay. Prior to that, she lost to Corinne Silva in her UFC debut. So it's been a little bit of a rocky turn for her, but I feel like no matter, I think she'll be able to get herself out of there. She
Yeah.
reminds me so much of Jessica Andrade because of
Mhm.
the build and the way that she, handles her fight. She walks through a lot of this damage,
Yeah.
and if Phil Swift is here, he'd be screaming his eyes out. But I feel like it's definitely I cannot wait to see these two fight again. Pietro Rodriguez definitely made me a fan of hers after this
Mhm.
one, and I cannot wait to see what happens next. Definitely a good opener to
Yeah.
the prelim for
Warmed us up.
UFC Apex. Exactly. Our next fight was Rafael Esteban against Felipe Yunez, and um, of course, I feel like they got the right decision here. Just from the
Mhm.
domination that we what do you call it witnessed. For those that did not watch the fight, it was just a one-sided beating. It was 5 for 9 takedowns against 0 for 1. There was a lot of strikes from Stevan from 128 to 38 strikes. Submission attempts came from Yunez, but of course they didn't really work out in the end because it was just a bad case for any opponent of Stevan's. Significant strikes, 33 to 26. It was a little bit close. There was no knockdowns here at all. It could have been. There was many moments where the judges, with the commentary, was losing their mind because of the brutal knees and the takedowns as well. But in
Yeah.
the end, Stevan wins. And what were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, dude. If only this guy could make weight, I'd start to be more impressed. But I think he's missed weight in like 2 of his last 3. So I'm like, bro, start making weight and then we can talk. Because right now he might need to move up in weight. If you can't make weight, what's the point of being in the weight class? You can't be the champ. So I'm thinking maybe move up in weight or get his weight in check. But other than that, great performance. Absolutely dominant, man. So Felipe put up a good fight, but it was just like he was outmatched 100%. Like his heart couldn't overpower the skill difference. And yeah, man, Esteban, a pretty dangerous fighter. Yeah, hasn't lost in the UFC 3-0 now. So
Yep.
this guy's looking like a serious contender at some division. We're not quite sure which one. So maybe figure that out, and then we can really start seeing where he fits. Because right now I'm like, is he a flyweight? Is he a bantamweight in the future if he keeps missing weight? So I'm wondering if the UFC is going to step in and be like, all right, bro, you can't keep missing weight. Um, Move up a weight class. But sometimes they like that, but sometimes they don't give a fuck. So who knows?
Exactly, because there was many instances where like guys like Johnny Hendricks who were missing weight and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot, like back in the day, and like there's like I believe like Hamza Chimaev has missed weight and whatnot,
Yeah.
or like Paulo Costa, and then they tell these guys they move up a weight class, but then they usually were like, oh, I just need to get a better nutritionist, and we're like, you should have got and a nutritionist should have been brought in like 5 fights ago, buddy. Like you've
Yeah.
missed a lot of weight. Um,
100%.
Yunez, his first fight in the UFC, his debut was against Joshua Van. He
Tough
lost
debut.
that one. Tough debut, and it feels like they've been just, of course, feeding him to the dogs and trying to see how he can, fare out. And this was another case where even if it was missed weight, it was just another dominant performance from his opponent. And
Mhm.
it's going back to the writing board and trying to see what you can do next because if you cannot get back, get your momentum, get your mojo back, then the UFC has, no obvious reason other than to, cut you.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, that's usually how it goes. But I agree with you what you said. There needs to be a lot of, weight making. If you want to be a true contender, you make weight, you get a great fight, and you dominate that whole,
Yeah.
you dominate that bitch, and then you just you move on to the next one. Stevan has done that, but example, like in the last since coming into the contender series, ground and
Mhm.
pound win, decision win, another decision win. He's able to grind out and go past the limits of his own, but it's the fact that he needs to make weight and be able to be consistent with that every single time. You can't keep making if you
Mhm.
can't keep missing weight because then the UFC is gonna be like, okay, you're good, but we have another guy just like you who can make weight and who can easily replace your spot. That's how
Yeah.
the UFC is, and how a lot of workplaces are. And you really can't blame them in some instances, especially with this one where, like, look at like I always bring it up. This is like I think this is gonna be like a ticker streak for me. Look at Muhammad Mohayev. He
Yep.
made weight every single time, and he dominated it, but it didn't really matter.
Mhm.
You got to be entertaining, and in the UFC Ultimate Fighting Championship, you can't just be grinding out with people. They say the Khabib era anymore, and if it is
Yep.
Khabib era, it has to be dominant, 50-45 all over the clock. But
100%.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like people try to act like some of these wrestlers unentertaining and when they're actually doing ground and pound. But then it's like, well, if you're dominating the whole fight, you should be able to, get some ground and pound in. And I'm like, no one wants to see you just trying for submissions where you like try for 1 second and then just go back to the original position. I'm like, come on.
Oh, I agree
But
with you. Especially whenever they lay on the opponent and then just
mhm,
landing little strikes, like 3 strikes, and then they don't move it on. The referee, hey, put more activity, put more activity, put more
yeah,
activity, and the guy
like
just turns the side. He turns the side control, puts the Kimura in, doesn't get it, and just lays back on his opponent. We're like, okay, buddy, you got to do something more than that.
100%,
Um,
dude.
but we won that one, Stevan. We went for him. We said
So
that
the weight miss where, we're like, he's got this little extra pounds.
anyone who misses weight, we just gotta put a
I
prediction
know, but
on
I
because
almost always do, honestly, bro.
because they always have the extra weight on them, and other opponents all dehydrated or like, "Where's my coconut water?" And then they're like, "Oh,
Yeah,
you don't have any coconut water, pal."
for
But
real,
like,
bro.
yeah.
This guy's found the
Uh,
cheat code.
our next
Get the
fight was in
opponents
the
that won't say no.
exactly. Our next fight was in the featherweight division, between both men from the United States, Austin Bashir and John Yanez. I don't really think Bashir with that as last names from the United States, and I don't mean that in a
Yeah,
fucked up way, but you know what I mean. Like
yeah.
like of course
It's a
I'm
cool
an
name.
American. I'm labeled United States and everything, but Rami Hanna, people think of that name and like, oh, where are you from, pal? Like I'll tell you.
you
But
lie. You want to
oh, you want to know so badly, huh?
know?
But this fight very very quick. We get right into it, and of course, like I looked down at my phone, I looked right back up, and Austin Bashi had John Yanez's back.
Yeah.
All he had to do was sink in that choke, pull back, and that backpack hold is always so beautiful. Because anytime you see that guy's leg just hanging, that his left leg or his right leg hanging, you already know he's squeezing the fuck out of those ribs and he's ready
Oh,
to
yeah.
choke out his opponent. And that was the case here. Um, I
You
feel
don't
like
want a guy
it's gonna
like
be.
that guy squeezing you, dude. He looks like a little mini Michael Chandler with that build, bro. I'm like, this dude is fucking huge, bro. I'm like, this guy's been on the juice since he's like 15. Nah, just kidding. But for real, bro, I'm hugely impressed with him.
I was very impressed with him. It was an amazing performance. It did not get him any bonuses, even though that was our first finish of the night.
They're greedy with
This,
the damn bonuses, bro.
they really are.
They're like, we have a
They're like
certain amount. We're not going over.
they're like, oh wow, that was a great first minute finish of the first round.
Yeah.
But you could do better. You could do way way better than
So
that.
they're
But that
like,
was
since we had 2 fight of the nights, we can only do those. Sorry.
exactly, and it confuses the fuck out of you, huh?
I know, me too,
But
bro. I'm like, bro, I'm looking out for these performance bonuses, and I'm like, there's none. What the fuck?
I'm looking out for these performance bonuses, and I'm looking out for the people who definitely deserve them. Because come on now, like you know
100%.
what I mean? Like if I'm able to pull out a first minute submission on an opponent like John Yanez, who of course you really have to go to deep waters to try to get him there. Come on, man, give Austin
Yeah.
Bashi that bonus. But Austin has of course phenomenal job of his. I believe this was my first time that I've ever seen this guy in action. 14-1. His last fight was to Christian Rodriguez, a decision loss. Prior to that, he won a rear naked choke over Darian Ramos in 2024 on a contender series. Prior to that, he had defeated all of his opponents at Lights Out Championship with a rear naked choke or strikes. Like this guy is
Yeah.
dangerous. He reminds me of like Roman Kopylov, but like in a lighter division and more
Hmm.
quicker with his hands.
Yeah.
Um,
And he's born in
but
2001, bro. This kid is young.
exactly, 2001, brother. Like, holy moly. I feel like an old man because I'm born in 2000, but like, my goodness.
For real,
But
bro. I'm
John,
like, this kid is could be good if he keeps working hard and they pace him right. It's like he already has one
exactly.
loss, so I feel like they won't push him too hard in the UFC. So slowly working his way up. But man, dude, this kid is an absolute beast.
And there's no debate about if John Yanez was a real opponent for him or not, because John is. In his prior fights again for Fury Fighting Championship, he defeated Damas Chapa by knockout, Cedar Jimenez by knockout, both second round knockouts. In his last fight against Nick Aguirre, he defeated him in a fourth round knockout.
Yeah,
Got
who's a solid opponent.
got signed to the UFC, and that's the thing. At fourth round knockout, he of course can pace himself for those big fights. He's already done it before. But it's the fact that you go against Austin, and You're both finishers. You're both fighters that could definitely take it at any length that you want to go. And Austin walked away with a first-minute submission in the featherweight division to be able to get the first finish of the night, but no bonus. So it's like, okay.
Damn, greedy with the bonuses. Yeah, with the bonuses, dude, I don't like how they have a set amount per night. I'm like, so is it performance based or is it just you have to give out these bonuses? Like, what? I'm like, I feel like if there's a better card, there should be more bonuses. And if there's a shit card, there should be less bonuses. Not there's the same amount of bonuses
Because
for every card.
Because here's the thing. What if we get like the same type of like crazy ass knockout and I almost had it before. I remember there was a fight card with the whole prelims were all finishes, and then the main card was like all decisions. But then they're like, oh, the prelims you get like 2 bonuses out of that. No, dude.
Yeah.
Everyone who got a finish there should get a fucking bonus.
I agree, dude. Just make it a finish bonus, like for real, bro. I would like that.
Like put them all in the category that they would like even like a voting poll. Do they deserve a bonus? Everyone's gonna vote yes, and then Dana White's gonna be all fucking throwing up his fist.
He's like, that'll be the last time we do that.
That'll be the last time we ever do that. We're running low on money, and then he fucking spends $200K at the casino every single night. Like
exactly, brother, he's like my blackjack money.
My blackjack money. What am I gonna do with it? But our next fight in the middleweight division. The Russian Andrei Palayev against Nick Klein. And you watch this fight, you see that first round, and you kind of think to yourself, like, Nick's got this.
And
then he didn't. I do want to mention that we did go for Bashi. We did. And I want to give props to you now. You went for Andrei Palayev. I didn't. I was like, you know what? He's not gonna do anything good. First round comes in, Nick Klein, working the tie clinch, working the dirty boxing, gets Palayev down against the cage, and like he was working very hard. Like they mentioned before, both guys fight the exact same way as each other. They're very gritty. They're very dangerous. With their strikes. And Nick, he tried to come into this one and take down Andrei Palayev. Put him down, put down that streak. And let's go right into it. Hold on a minute, 1 second. In his last fight, Christian Leroy Duncan defeated Palayev by decision. I feel like his coaches got into his ear after the first round and said, "It's ending up the same way as the last fight did. You got to do something completely different." Because prior to that, he defeated Liam Anderson by decision. He fought for Salamanca FC and RCC FC and SFC, where he defeated his opponents by round 1 punches. Armbar in the 3rd round, ground and pound in the 1st round. Like he's a beast. He's definitely Nick Klein, for example, is a 6-2 fighter. Last fight, his UFC debut against Mansour Abdul Malik, he got killed with strikes against the cage.
That's a tough matchup.
And here's the scary part too. He got beaten with strikes against the cage, and that was the same instance here.
Yeah, he has a weakness.
The cage. I think we need to run a petition where we get rid of the cage. And then no one can get strikes against the cage anymore.
Yeah,
you're like, oh, am I gonna die? You just fall right off like James Bond.
The karate combat pit is actually pretty fucking sick, dude. Like at first I was like, this seems kind of dumb, but I'm like, the more I watch it, the better it gets, dude. I'm like, I'm liking the pit, dude. The cage is kind of
karate combat you're talking about, right?
Yeah, karate combat.
It's such a great. Like, I remember watching Anthony Pettis against Benson Henderson, and I felt like I was a kid all over again.
Real, bro.
Like, this is pretty freaking stuff. And then, what's crazy is Sam Alvey, smiling Sam Alvey.
Dude, yes, he's like the GOAT
there. He's the beast there. It's
bro, isn't he like double champion? Like insane, bro. That just goes to show, bro. I'm like, we shit talk these guys sometimes, especially people online shit talk them. We try to keep it nice, but sometimes we get out of hand. But yeah, it just goes to show these UFC fighters, bro, they would fuck up like 99.9% of the population, like especially the heavyweights, bro. It's like we make fun of the heavyweights a lot, but bro, these big boys can swing.
If Derek Lewis ever does leave the UFC, he needs to go to karate combat. That would be nuts. Because you can't take him down. He would just kill
people.
You're screwed. He's butterbean in karate combat.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot stop him. But we get into the second round. The same action from the first. Nick Klein trying to get that takedown, pushing himself up against Gates on Andrei Palayev. And as soon as they were out of it, and then we saw that liver kick land, it was basically good night Irene. And then he landed that next disgusting kick to the ribs against the cage. Like I said, cage easily
Hmm.
removed, but
Yeah.
against the cage, he lands that beautiful freaking slick kick like he's Katsuri Shibata. And that was the end of it. Referee called it up, and rightfully so, because if it continued on, I think Andre Palaev would have went into full pride mode and started doing some,
Yeah,
some
for
soccer
real.
kicks or something, of course.
There was some
But
close calls.
what were your thoughts on this finish, and how did you feel seeing it?
I'm so happy that he won. I, got that pick right. The most important thing. No, just kidding. For real though, Pulayev, man, big bounce back. I was impressed that he was at least able to make the distance with Leroy Duncan in his last fight. But yeah, I think that he really needed this win, and he made the most of it. Nick Klein, I think he's had a tough run of it. Abdul Malik and then Pulayev is tough back to back. But I think that if they keep him around, he'll have to make some adjustments 100%. But as for
Mhm.
Pulayev, I'm excited, man. He's a huge middleweight. Like that frame he has is just insane. 6'4", 78-inch reach, and solid fighter. And it's showing that he's improving with each fight. He's not just staying the same. Even though he lost, he's able to make improvements and make changes. Even though Nick Klein is a step down from CLD, it's still a solid opponent, and yeah, easy work after that first round. That first round was a little tough.
A little tough, exactly. And I honestly expected it to last the same way because I had to watch this card later on the night of Saturday night because of course I was having to cover SummerSlam night one. So when I finally tuned into this, I saw a tweet that said this had been the most exciting Apex card of the year. And I was like, if that's the fucking case, then I'm gonna definitely be happy tuning into this.
Oh
And
yeah,
honestly, the prelims have been so. Hold on. Click
yeah.
that hog. Let's fucking go. Like,
We
oh my
love
God.
Randy.
We love Randy. Thank you so much for tuning in, Randy. But I thought to myself that Nick was gonna do a repeat. Like he was just gonna, grind and get those takedowns and just hold Pelayev down, which was it's the best case you could possibly do because you keep that man on stand up and he is scary. He reminds me a little bit of like he looks sort of similar to like I don't know how to. Like, Dominic Reyes, Volkan Oezdemir, and Yuri Prohaska had a love child, and it created this guy. It feels weird to say, but you look at him, you're like, oh, yeah,
You're like, okay.
that's definitely a look. And yeah, the three-way love child created Andre Palayev in Russia, and he landed that beautiful slick kick to the ribs. And it was just the end for Nick Klein. I do hope to see Nick again in the UFC. Especially after these last two fights where like you were dominating that first round, and then things just went downhill for you. I agree with you that he does need to make adjustments, and he needs to start thinking of more ways of pressuring himself against the cage and actually, stealing these takedowns from his opponents. Because if that's not the case and you get out of that and you're not protecting your ribs and you get kicked right there again and you shut down, the UFC's gonna have no choice but to, just say fuck it and cut you and see how you work in the regional scene. Um, but our next fight was in the middleweight division, another one, which between Rodolfo Vieira and Tresean Gore. Um, you picked Gore for
I
this
picked
one.
Gore, and you got this one.
I I picked Vieira. I got the win here. I was very happy for that because I get scared seeing Sean Gore fight. He's
For
a
real,
beast,
bro.
man. Like that
I
build,
know.
that build of his, like oh my goodness. I would not want to be a twisted T around him. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to get fucking cracked on the skull and like
Oh
being told,
hell
hey
no.
man, do you know how to being told, hey man, do you know how to fight? And then he just turns around and just cracks me with the fucking skull. Like you don't want to ever do that to yourself. Rodolfo Vieira coming into this one, I believe 10-3. He had a record of before this fight. Lost to Andre Petroski by decision at the UFC Fight Night this past February. Prior to that, he lost to Armin Petrosi. I don't even think he fought both Armins. He fought Armin Petrosi and he submitted him in the first round with arm triangle. He beat Cody Brundage with arm triangle submission. Like stuff, Vieira. Like once he gets to the ground, like he's really gonna mess you up.
Yeah.
He lost to Chris Curtis prior to that. He defeated Dustin Stolfitz after prior to that, which we talked about Dustin before. That was just funny enough.
Mm.
Um, and prior to that, his UFC debut, he lost his undefeated streak of 7-0 to Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, yeah, by an arm and guillotine choke in round 2. After that, win, loss, win, loss. Sorry, I don't want to count that one win because it was ADXC. It was a grappling competition between him and Derek Brunson. So yeah, but he beat Cody Brundage, Armin Petrosky, and lost to Petrosky, and then defeated Trayshawn Gore this past weekend. Trayshawn Gore, on the other hand, I like to educate people who are watching this because, of course, they want to, oh, but these guys are probably like on losing streaks. No, that's not the case. Trayshawn Gore, though, has been on one in back-to-back fights. Cut off of Vieira now this past weekend, and Marco Tullio, he lost a straight right. Prior to that, he defeated Antonio Tricoli and Josh Friend on UFC Fight Nights. Had a 2-fight losing streak with Cody Brundage and Brian Battle, which when I see people fight Brian Battle, I know that they're in for a hell of a fucking time because he's a fucking beast.
Yeah, tough matchup.
And exactly, that was his UFC debut to Brian Battle and Cody Brundage. It's been a weird road for him because Mr. Vicious himself is able to, be vicious whenever he's on that stand-up, but it's all about really, keeping yourself up and not really getting. And I want to say this without sounding disrespectful, that ground game needs a lot of work. You know what I mean? Especially with these last 2 fights where he's constantly being dragged down to the ground and being just slaughtered the whole time. There was not a case in this fight where he wasn't on his back and he wasn't being just destroyed the whole time. And then in between, rounds, his coaches are giving him these adjustments and these ways of strategies to fix himself, and that's not the case at all. Adolfo Vieira just continues to dominate, continues to have those takedowns, and he was having a good time. The whole stand up. Trayshawn Gore didn't really have a lot of moments where he landed a blow, and then the crowd was like, "Oh!" and then we almost got like a finish. The commentary team was trying to even help him make adjustments. Dean Thomas could have made help adjustments and whatnot, but that was not the case. Sav Jelly, amazing with her crochet work, amazing with enthusiasm from the UFC. She's the second person. I want to mention her because she's the second person that's ever mentioned to me that all she does is watch UFC fights.
Let's go.
The only other person we know is Brady. You know what I mean? Like Brady is the only other guy that we know that he used to be part of the show where he watched. That all he does is watch WWE professional wrestling and mixed martial arts all day long. We're like, oh, you ever watch Sopranos? No, and we're like, wow, okay, but. I never discriminate against anybody who truly finds a passion in what they like. Now, if you say badminton and it's like what your favorite thing or whatever, one of my buddies mentioned that this past weekend. I almost shot him. But like, what do you call it? Like, that's besides the point. I think this sport definitely brings out the best in us and also the worst in us.
Yeah, 100%.
But
Vieira, I was honestly impressed with Vieira's stand-up the most. Like, I was like expecting Gore to have more moments with the stand-up, but when there was the stand-up. When it was in the moments of the stand-up, it was mostly Vieira. I was like, damn, what the fuck is going on? I think maybe Gore was so worried about the ground that he wasn't even worried about the stand-up, but he ended up getting pieced up by Vieira. I'm like, okay. Vieira's rounding out the game more and more as he gets better. I'm like, he's already an absolute beast on the ground. So if he can get this stand-up to where matches the ground game, man, this guy's an absolute weapon.
Exactly. Dominant win, dominant performance from him. It's a shocker too because like we got like 3 finishes on these prelims, and like no bonuses. So I'm like, and then the next fight that we get into should have got a bonus. We both went for Rinya Nakamura against Nathan Fletcher. Nathan Fletcher teams up, I believe they mentioned on the commentary that he and Paddy Pimblett are both teammates. On their team. I forgot what the team name is, my apologies. But Rinya Nakamura comes into this one very, very highly touted. Everyone, of course, loves seeing him fight the Japanese fighter against the English Nathan Fletcher. I expected this fight to last quite some time. I thought we were gonna get some like third round, like back and forth, like Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier and whatnot. Like these two are just gonna go guns blazing on each other. And we got another comment from Blackhawk. Let's go, boys. We agree. Blackhawk is one of our contributor for BodySlam. Another great voice for us. But Rinya Nakamura gets the finish in the first minute of this fight. Another first minute fight of first minute finish. And I didn't expect. I had to see the replay to be able to actually get my eyes on what we saw because that liver kick he landed, it did not look painful. Like when you see the you watch it in like real time, you think to yourself, that didn't land, and then Fletcher's like walking away, like holding his stomach, and we're like, oh, what the fuck is going on?
Well,
Collapses, gets
delayed
destroyed with
reaction.
those punches. Exactly, delayed reaction. But then when you see the replay and you see those toes dig right into his liver, that was it right then and there. Rinya Nakamura with a beautiful finish, then the ground and pound right afterwards, the celebration. Like he did for a prelim card that we wanted to be really good, it delivered. It delivered,
Yeah.
and people be like, oh, but what about Vieira and Gore? Like that was very one-sided and whatnot. Hey man, that's domination for you. If you don't want to be dominated, then you got to do something with your game plan. But what were your thoughts on this finish from Rinya Nakamura to get himself another win in this column?
Hugely impressed, man. His stand-up keeps getting better and better. His wrestling's already absolutely phenomenal, but as this is another case, like I was saying with Vieira, where if they're able to keep rounding out their game, even more so, I think, with Nakamura since he's much younger. I mean, this guy is an absolute prospect to keep an eye on. He lost to Muin Gafarov in his last fight, but hey, no shame in losing to someone like that, especially when you're this young, still on the come up. So I think he learned from that experience and really rounded out his game more and more. And yeah, Nathan Fletcher, unfortunately, was made easy work, dude. Like, that was just crazy, man. And the fact that it didn't get a bonus is absolute bullshit. How are you gonna get a finish that quick and get no fucking bonus? Like, this is just ridiculous. Like,
It's
I
getting
understand,
ridiculous, Dana.
like
It's getting very fucking ridiculous.
you need to actually adjust the bonuses. Like, how many bonuses if there's actually a good ass card, bro? Like, I don't understand. There'll be a shit card and they'll have the same amount of bonuses as a card like this where they just go off. I'm like, I understand they have to have a budget somehow, but y'all are $1 billion company. Come on, it's 50 fucking K. It's just
Exactly.
ridiculous, bro.
For $1 billion company not being able to give their fighters who get, and that's the thing too.
A
Years ago,
1 minute finish. I'm like, come on.
Dana White talked so much about be like Joe Piper, be like Joe Piper. Well, these fighters are more than Joe Piper because these fighters getting fucking finishes. No offense to like Joe Piper, but he fought Kelvin Gastelum recently, right? He didn't get a finish there. He didn't get a
Yeah.
finish, but he was dominant in the first and second round. He was dominant as hell with those big strikes and those knockdowns. He didn't get a bonus. He didn't get a finish at all. Rina Nakamura gets a finish. Austin Bashi gets a finish. Andre Palayev gets a finish and no bonuses on the prelims for them. They're being more like Joe Piper, and you're not giving back to the community. But
Well, especially the first round. I'm like, come on, guys. Maybe they're just like, oh,
exactly.
not impressed because the opposition. But I'm like, what more can they possibly do to get a bonus? Like,
If it was John Jones, he would have given him 2 nut sacks and everything.
for real though,
But
he's like,
with
and a title shot.
Rina Nakamura came up from the road to UFC in 2022, where he got finish after finish, made his UFC debut against Toshiomi Kazama, knocked him out in the first round, defeated Fernie Garcia, defeated Carlos Vera at UFC 298 Volkanovski versus Topuria, lost at UFC 311 Machaya versus Morgano, which was a weird main event still. I still don't know how we got that main event, but I know it was because of pull-ups and whatnot, but still. And then fights once again. This past August, like he fought in January, he lost. He needed to make his adjustments. Hold on, we got a comment from Seth. They didn't give any performance of the night bonuses, but 2 Fight Night bonuses.
Fact.
Thought that was BS. That's very much BS. It is because how are we gonna get performances with knockouts, with all these knockouts or submissions, and they're like, that was great, but we don't see you getting a check from that.
Yeah. I just
Make
don't
it
like the
make
punishment.
sense.
I'm like, why am I getting
Because
punished for them having a good fight?
yeah,
Like, what?
because here's the thing: if we get because we usually get 12 or 14 fight cards, fights on the card, and let's say we get 10 decisions, and then fight 11 and fight 12 are submission and knockout. What is Dana White gonna do? Give those people the bonuses, and then whatever else decision fight that went the distance and was was good, he'll give that the fight of the night bonus. He's okay with doing that. But if we get multiple finishes on a prelim card, he's like, I can't give anybody bonuses.
Yeah.
You guys are already getting paid. Yeah, 5K to show up and 5K
Yeah.
to win. Buddy, come on now. Give me that extra 50K.
100%, bro. I'm like, I just don't like it whatsoever when they're like, oh, we'll just change the bonuses whenever the fuck we want. Like, what? They'll be like, this one gets this, so no one gets a performance bonus. I'm like, bro, do you guys want good fights or not? I'm like, so all they want is brawls. Literally, is what this is meaning. I'm like, don't go out there and knock out the guy in 1 minute. Instead, let him hit you with a few shots, and maybe you'll get an extra $50K. I'm like, come on.
What they're gonna have to do now is bring in Max Holloway for every fight. You see Max Holloway versus the flyweight division, and it's just him standing and banging with each and one of them.
Dude, I would pay to watch that. How much could he beat in a row?
I would pay to stand. Exactly right. George Foreman, he fought like 12 fighters in one night to prove that he could fight Muhammad Ali again. Because after
retired and shit.
Yeah, after he lost to Muhammad Ali the first time, he came out of retirement and he said, I'm going to fight 12 boxers in a row and knock them all out. He knocked them all out. And Muhammad Ali still pulled out of the fight and still made sure that the rematch never happened. So if we were able to get that, then we got to get Max Holloway doing something.
Come on.
Ilia's trying to snap away from this. He's like, I don't think I should fight him. But if I do fight him, I want to fight him for the BMF title. Buddy, this ain't the WWE. This ain't no double title match.
I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? If it's out the division.
Undisputed titles.
I know, bro. It's absolute madness in the lightweight division right now. I'm like, they can't decide who's fighting who.
I'm glad we got the win there. I do wonder what happens next with Nathan Fletcher because he did win this past September against Zita Montes Ramasca, but now he's lost to Callan Loughran and now he's lost to Rinya Nakamura in the year of 2025. So I don't know if he competes again this year. I believe he might for November or December. And the reason why I say that is because usually Paddy Pimblett will compete during those big cards in November, December. So I automatically assume that we'll see Nathan Fletcher on the featured prelim again to be able to get some payback for losing his last two fights this past year. But that was a win for us. We did pretty good for ourselves for the featured prelims and for the prelims in general. We did not get the opener. We got the next two fights right. You got Polaev right. I did not get Klein right. I got Vieira right. You didn't get Gore right. And then we both ended off with a happy note with Rinya Nakamura winning in the first round finish. So,
not bad. And not bad.
Not bad. Now holding on to the main card. And we did not so bad. I mean, honestly, if we get two fights or one fight, right, and everything else is wrong,
I call it good.
Get out of here. You know what I mean? Like, we have to hit the gutter once again. But that was not the case here.
Well, at least we were above 500 this time. I was 500 last week, so I had the bounce back. Rami was above 500 last week for sure.
Exactly. I'm very happy that my predictions for some fucking reason are actually doing so well because whenever I would vote for this, what is it here? Gore was my only wrong pick. That's fucked up. See,
we need the parlay. Send it our way.
Exactly. Remember last week, like my fucking parlay, it was like the whole main card was correct.
Yeah.
Every single right. But because I'm from California, I cannot bet. I have to pick an envelope. I think all my friends like the picks, like how you did like back in the day or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like what's his name, Al Capone. I gotta be like Al Capone and everything, and slip people envelopes just so they could be able to get some goddamn picks right under the table. Exactly.
Rami's recommendations. Here we go.
Oh my God! Do you remember that?
I just yeah. Deep cut.
What a crazy. The deep cut, the Rami. It popped up a couple of days ago for me, and I was like, so fucking stupid. Why did I write like 3,000 words for fucking all these things? And it never came out right. And I was like, okay, I need to stop predicting. But let's get right into this main card. Danny Silva in the featherweight division against Kevin Vallejos, the Argentinian. And it was a fucking good opener. Like, definitely. Like, Vallejos, he wanted this more than anything. He definitely wanted to, dominate the decision. And he got one with the unanimous decision win over Danny Silva. No odds here, which is weird. Like, the UFC will never place odds at all except for, like, the co-main or main event. And it's like, dude, there's always odds for any type of fight. Because, like, you go to betonline.ag and then, like, you'll find all the picks and everything that are, like, it's perfect. Like, don't even know what they're trying to do there.
On Tapology, I think they put it at least. Let me see. But
I don't know. It's
like, I don't know if that's like actually what book that is.
Tapology app, you know what I mean? Like Tapology makes make themselves an app.
Minus Wait. Oh, no, this is the wrong fight. Yeah,
Yeah.
Vallejos. What the fuck? Okay, Vallejos came in heavy favorite minus 415. Danny Silva plus 330. So it was more competitive than I think the bookies expected, but I'm glad Kevin
It was
got the win.
definitely more competitive. Um, he was the crazy part here is the fact that I felt so bad for Danny Silva. Did you see his takedowns?
Mm.
1 for 9. He had an 11% on the fucking takedowns, whereas
Hmm.
40% for Vallejos of 2 out of 5. Um, but like these two really focused more on just trying to like, take each other's lights out. 90 strikes for
Yeah.
Vallejos, 73 strikes for what do you call it? Danny Silva. He was a little bit more accurate with the strikes, but I feel like Vallejos pulled it out of the one in the third round with his
Hmm.
duration action. What were your thoughts on this fight of this opener?
Badass fight, man. I think that it was a great clash of like styles almost, where Vallejos is super composed the whole time, and Silva kind of is always kind of wearing his heart on his sleeve, like low-key taunting and like getting in your face, trying to get like playing the emotional game, trying to get a rise out of him. But Vallejos did a great job of just staying composed, finding his shots, and landing the more significant ones for sure. Hurting Silva many times, but man, Silva is one tough dude. He never went down, and they put on what in most cases would be a performance-winning fight of the night. But I understand why this one didn't win it when the other two got it. So this one, I won't shame him too bad for not getting it. But man, what an absolute banger! And Vallejos has only lost to John Silva, so this dude, that's no shame in losing to someone that fucking good. So shout out to Vallejos.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to keep my eye on this guy, potential contender, 100%.
A potential contender, 100%. I love that he had this, of course, the coaches were great for him in this corner. And another thing on top of that is nicknamed El Chino. In his last couple of fights, he's on a big win streak. He's been on a win streak since 2023 against Max Malone Perez, Gonzalo Contreras, Cam Teague, Song Woo Choi, and now Danny Silva. That's a big streak since coming into the UFC. He won a contender
Facts.
series in 2024 this past September. And since then, and that's the thing too. He lost a contender series in 2020 to Gene Silva, a guy who's literally
Hmm.
right there of winning a
Yeah.
championship. Like, one more fight and guaranteed he gets right into that title picture. Um, but it would definitely be awesome to see these two run it back. Like if
Yeah.
Vallejos is doing is working the way that he is, then please give me another Gene Silva rematch. Because whenever we see our favorite fighters like that, like they had a fight like example Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier, they had a fight many years ago, and people were like, oh, we'll never see them fight again. And then, as fate would have it, an interim lightweight championship would appear for them to fight over. And then, as fate would have it, years later, the final fight of Dustin's career, we have these two fight off.
For real,
I'm not
bro.
saying
That
Kev,
is crazy.
I'm not saying Kevin and Gene have to, retire against each other now. But I would definitely like to see a rematch and to see these two clash again because
Facts.
now you can see Kevin's improvements that he's made
Yeah.
ever since that 2020 fight and Gene Silva's domination that he's had since 2020. There's
Yeah.
there's no way that I wouldn't want to see this fight happen.
Yeah.
Um,
And not to mention that Vallejos is another 2001 baby. So 20, well, yeah, gonna be turning 24 this in December. And like, this dude is on the come up. So think of all the not only skill improvements, but his body's probably gotten much stronger and much more athletic since that loss against Silva. So yeah, I would love to see them run that one back, especially as Vallejos, if he keeps working his way up. It's going to take a little bit to catch up right now because Silva's already like a top ranked fighter. So he's going to need to get a few more wins under his belt. But dude, I would love to see them run that back. The storyline would be sick.
exactly. And there's no shame on what Daniel Silva did this past weekend. He worked his way off and he tried to get that win. In his last couple of fights, he's been on a big win streak. He was on a big win streak of 4 fights heading into this one over Alex Valentino Ortega, Angel Pacheco, Josh Colabao, and Lucas Almeida in the UFC. And his last 2 fights were in the UFC after he won the Contender Series, and he's been able to be dominant in those decision wins. But of course,
Mm-hmm.
this one was where we needed a clear definitive. It could have even been like almost like a split, but I feel like, with Vallejos, and he definitely pulled out all the stops to make sure that
Yeah.
he was unanimous in this, and that was great to see. It was a good opener because we won, and I was very happy for that. I was like, it's always
Mhm.
nice to start off the card with a win, because usually what
Yeah.
happens is we'll start off the card with a win, and then we'll lose most of the fights, or we'll start off the card with a loss, and then we'll win a majority of the fights. So it's always something very crazy to see.
For real, bro. The
Um,
predictions are always so fun. It just makes it a nice little like extra bonus to keep you entertained. Where it's like the fights are already entertaining, but then you're like,
and
let me see if I can beat
it's
Rami
always
this
so
week.
fun too. It's always so fun too. Like we're always in a group chat, like holy shit, holy shit. We're just like cussing up a storm and
For
everything.
real.
And then
That was a
afterwards, we're
terrible
like, oh, that was
stoppage.
bull. That was bullshit. That was fucking bullshit. Me still, me still on my Taliesin Teixeira deserves
For
better
real,
card.
bro.
Like, because I like Derek Lewis a lot, but like when I saw that finish, I was like, that's bullshit stoppage. And then a week later, Jason Herzog's like, okay. How about
Yeah.
Yaya
Oh
dies?
my
Oh
God.
my
Yeah.
oh my God.
He's like, I'll
Um
never stop a fight early ever again.
I'll never do it again. If they die, they die.
For real, bro.
But
Mario Yamasaki, for real, bro. Doesn't give a
we need
fuck.
Mario Yamasaki back. We need
For real, I'm like, at this
he,
rate, I'm like, this would be like a fireable offense back in the day, bro. But now it's like, now that seems to happen every fucking week.
I was even trying to think of other like referee names and whatever. Like there's that one guy, Steve Mazzagatti.
Yeah,
Like what?
yeah.
Oh
I
my
haven't seen
God,
him
that's
in
a
a
fun.
while.
Oh my God, he's gonna come back and be like, oh, let's see how this stoppage goes.
For real,
But
bro. He's like, I'm gonna get Yaya's next fight.
our next fight was in the featherweight division. Sorry, welterweight division. Like I was confused with the last one. Is in the welterweight division. Elzuz Zaleski dos Santos against Neil Magny, two UFC vets who have been in this for quite some time. What do you call it? Dos Santos has been part of the UFC since 2015, where his first fight in his debut was against Nicholas Dalby. That's a name nobody's really heard of in quite some time. And Neil Magny, boy, has he been in the UFC for forever, I feel. He's been part of the UFC since he made his Ultimate Fighter debut against Frank Camacho, who also was part of the UFC in 2012.
That
2012, my
is
guy,
insane,
and
bro.
he's still for over 10 years
He's
in the
still getting
UFC.
finishes, bro. Like, what?
Exactly. His first ever fight in the UFC was on UFC 157 Rousey versus Carmouche, where he defeated John Manley in 2013. After that, Sergio Moraes, Gassan Omotov, Tim Means, Alex Garcia, Hong Young Lim, Damian Maya, Eric Silva, Calvin Gastelum, Hector Lamar, Lawrence Larkin, Johnny Hendricks, Rafael Dos Anjos, Carlos Conde, Santiago Ponzinibbio, Li Jiarong, Anthony Rocco Martin, Robbie Lawler. All of these names I just mentioned, everyone knows. If you're a UFC fan, you all know those names. There's no hiding against that. Neil
Yeah.
Magny has been in the UFC for so long. Robbie Lawler retired. Nicholas Dalby's no longer. I don't think he's around promotion anymore. Anthony Rocco Martin, it's been a minute. Li Jingliang, I think, is the only guy out of this. Is the youngest guy out of that whole list. Even Carlos Condit's already called it
And
quits to
even
go
Leach,
top.
I feel like Liang might have even retired. I can't remember.
I don't know. I think he might be still around.
I
I
feel
think
like
he. I think he.
Kamzat fucked up his neck so bad or something. No, I'm tripping. He did fight. He
And
fought last year, but hasn't fought since. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm tripping.
yeah. And he fought Michael Chiesa, Jeff Hands, Steel Neal, Joaquin Silva, Max Griffin, Shavkat Rakhmonov. Like there's a lot of names that mentioned that are like rising contenders and also UFC legends or vets. It's like it's crazy. But Neil Magny heading into this fight against Elise Zaleski dos Santos, and Neil Magny pulls out another finish. First round, he was just getting himself into the groove of those dirty clinched knees. And it continued its way into the second round when he got him in what people call it professional wrestling, cravat lock, cravat choke. When you get them like the way that Neil Magny had his, I always blank on what they have it in UFC. I feel like sorry, MMA, because I feel like it's like a clinch hold. But he had him in
Mm-hmm.
that cravat hold, landed those beautiful knees, and then got the finish. And it was then, now, and forever Neil Magny on top from 2012 till now. This guy is still getting big wins for himself. And yeah,
For
what were your
real.
thoughts on this big finish?
As always, dude, love to see Neil Magny get the win, dude. Especially a finish.
Ancient
Like,
sensation,
I feel
especially.
like lately he's been getting more and more finishes. Like, it's kind of crazy. I'm like, he was kind of a decision guy for most of his career, but I'm like, his last 2 wins have been finishes. So I'm like, maybe the old man strength is really kicking in, man. I love Neil Magny, absolute veteran of the game, like you said, and showing that even though he's old, he can maybe not beat the young guys, but if you're throwing in another old guy, he might be able to take them out. And he did that very well. I think that Magny is just the perfect. I don't hate to say this word in a bad way, but it's not really a bad thing. The perfect gatekeeper, bro. It's like if you're not a ranked fighter, you'll lose to him. But if you're someone that's like, okay, I'm actually on the come up, he's the perfect test. That's why he's been around for so long. He's like the perfect litmus test of, are you ready for the rankings in the top 10? If you can beat him, okay, then maybe you are. So, yeah.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because you look at the names who have beaten him, and these guys are names where they're true contenders, and they're about to become champions soon. Carlos Prates, Michael Morales, Ian Machado Gary. Prior to that, Gilbert Burns was like, a great, contender, but now it's recently been a slip up. Shavkat Rakhmonov, like those guys, Gary, Rakhmonov, Morales, and Prates. Those 4 guys are guys
that's
that
a good resume.
We could see in the future, winning championships or being in a title match because Machado Gary wants it more than anything, and I know that he'll get it in due time. Shavkat Rakhmonov is like right there. He's knocking on the door.
He's been right there for real, bro.
He's just banging on the freaking door and just waiting for him to say, okay, here's your contract, sign that bitch. And Carlos Prates, like isn't he the fella who smokes cigarettes like before his fight?
Yeah.
Like, they're bringing that up like, oh, he smokes too many cigarettes. Oh, his adrenaline, his conditioning is gonna be so good. And then he went 4 rounds deep with freaking Neil Magny and finished him. Like,
and had fucking Ian Gary on the fucking ground crawling for his life in the 5th round. After being dominated, bro. So I'm like, the gas tank is fine for real, bro.
Exactly.
So even though he lost that fight, I was impressed that he was able to almost come back in that last round. So yeah, all these guys that he's lost to, man, like you said, potential future champions, like legit future champions. Like his last 3 losses, all 3 of them, I could see a 100% fighting for the title and potentially, depending on who they're fighting, winning it.
And here's the thing that's weird about Dos Santos is the fact that in 2021, in 2021, actually 2020, he lost to Muslim Salikov at UFC 51. Then he fought at UFC 267 a year later against Benoit Saint Denis and won that fight. After that, he defeated Abubakar Nurmagomedov. He had a draw against Rinat Firmikhanov. Lost to Randy Brown. Defeated Zach Scroggin by knockout in the first round. And now, in his 2025 campaign, he's lost to Chidi and Neil Magny. So it's like, it's weird because we usually expect a guy like him to, dominate. And especially with Neil Magny, I didn't want to pick Neil because I was like, oh, it's Dos Santos. He can get you to the ground just like the Haitian Sensation can and be able to, submit you. But recently with Neil Magny, I'm not trying to downplay his career and his tenure with the UFC. But when you reach that age and whatnot, and how long you've been in the UFC for, it becomes a time where people, start to lose those big fights or lose those fights that, in their prime they would have won. Like, for example, Court McGee is still around the UFC. Court McGee, a guy who's been part of the UFC since, I believe, 2010, 2011.
Yeah.
Because
the dawn of time.
Yeah. Here's the thing. If you look at his character model in UFC Undisputed 3, he looks like Hamza Chimaev. It's been a weird thing. He looks like Hamza Chimaev in UFC Undisputed 3.
That is hilarious.
And then he's still in the UFC. He's still losing, but we have a guy like Neil Magny who's, dominating the sport, and who's still able to keep himself in the win column and keep himself in the UFC. He's not leaving the UFC anytime soon. He's still going to stick around, and he's still going to keep, building up that record. I don't know if he has yet, but I think he wants to get to that record of surpassing Jim Miller. But Jim Miller, I think, is still active, I believe. So, it's going to be quite some time before he can surpass him.
Yeah, but if he keeps looking like that, though, he might get that.
He might. That was a win for me of Neil Magny. You picked Zaleski, which, I would have done the exact same thing, too. I could have picked him, but I feel like I was like, you know what?
I was like, battle of the umps.
Exactly. I was like, I like going against. Whenever we pick the same picks and we get it right, we're like, yeah. But then when we go against each other, it's like those like fight fucking things. Like we're just like
Exactly,
standing up
bro.
against each other.
Bro, but I'm like
Um,
high risk, high reward when we go against each other. It's like it's either gonna
exactly,
really
exactly.
help my picks or really plug me.
Exactly. But that was a win for Neil Magny. Big second round finish. With the beautiful knees. And then our next fight we have Kayla Rosa against Noah Connolly. Connolly.
Dude, this
And
was crazy, bro.
freaking
Easy work.
insane. Easy work for Carol, but that does not, of course, count out the the way that Nora fights. She's a freaking like that's the
Yeah,
thing too.
I
I'm
expected so
confused.
much different, bro. This is crazy.
I mentioned it last week, I believe, and I'm mentioning it this week. What is the UFC's problem with women fights? We've only got like one or two fights booked in the last
Yeah,
every fight card. We get two women fights and then a plethora of like men fights and whatever. And
and a
then
lot of them are
afterwards,
bangers, bro.
and exactly, the women fights are like bangers, like holy moly, they kick each other's asses. And the men's fights, we get a heavyweight Martin Boudet, who's not even
They're
part
like
of the
staring
promotion
contests.
anymore. Like staring contest
Yeah.
between Boudet and fucking whoever the else. Or like, what was that other guy? He fought Muhammad Usman recently. Um,
Fuck,
you know
what
who
is
I'm
his
talking about,
name?
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and he has an A in his name or something like that. Like I don't know what it is. I'm sorry to say that, but like those two, they didn't really do a lot of
Yeah.
damage to each other in the second or third round. And then we get like a fight with the women, and they kick ass, and we're like, oh, so are we gonna get another? Are we gonna get 3 or 4 women's fights? No, we're not, because we have all those spread around all these cards. It's for one women's fight of a week. Like okay, whatever. And then they want to be like, oh, we have the best women's division in the UFC. And then we're like, okay, but we only get one fucking fight from them every weekend, so give
Yeah.
us more. But
So and then
Carol
they wonder
Rosa,
why the fans don't know him, dude. It's like they see him like barely ever, bro.
exactly. Carol Rosa, freaking dominant. From with her striking and with her takedowns. 2 out of 3 takedowns. 190 strikes, 85% of them all clean. 2 submission attempts. 33 significance is 27. No knockdowns from either one, even though they were trying to fucking take each other's heads off.
Mm-hmm.
And another win in the book for Carol Rosa, who once again proves to the UFC that she's dominating the division. She's getting back in there. Her last fight was to Eileen Perez. She lost that one, sadly enough. I don't think sadly enough, but like, of course, when you're a fighter, you don't want to like, go on those losing streaks, especially after
Yeah.
she defeated Panine Kirazet in 2024. If she defeated Eileen Perez and then Nora this past weekend, that would have been a 3-fight winning streak after going on a 2-fight losing streak to Irene Aldana and Raquel Canuto back in 2024 and 2023 on pay-per-views. That was a UFC Fight Pass Invitational, so we're not going to count that. UFC 298, Edwards and Covington, which was quite some time ago. Like, I forgot Covington got a title fight because it was like, why did he get a title fight?
Exactly,
Um,
bro.
but the fights that Carol Rosa has lost to Eileen Perez, Irene Aldana, Norma Dumont, and in the UFC vet Sarah McMahon in her that made her lose her winning her undefeated streak of 15-0. But prior to that, she defeated Beth Correa, Jocelyn Edwards, Vanessa Mello, Alara Fritzen, Giselle Morena, like all these fighters who have been in the rankings, who have been at the top of their game, whether they're in title
Yeah.
fights or getting close to that. And Kale's kicking some ass. Her opponent Nora, 8-2. Well, it's crazy that I don't understand the verdict sometimes. They still have Haley Cowan as a fight that's what do you call it? Nora has not surpassed yet. Like okay, but prior to that, she defeated Melissa Mullins, Jocelyn Edwards, in her UFC debut, and then prior to that, she was on a massive win streak of like about 8-fight win streak. She was on entering the UFC. Like she dominated the scene. But Carol Rosa, amazing defense and amazing wrestling game that she has. She's working her way up. She does not want to enter back into that losing streak, and she learned a lot. I think a lot of fighters when they fight Eileen Perez, they learn a lot as well because she's so gritty. She's a
Yeah.
weird fighter too because she reminds me of Diego Lopez.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like those two fight exactly similar. But Diego likes to, of course, work that heavy stand up, whereas Eileen Perez will take you down, dominate you with the elbows, and then twerk you right afterwards. Like
Yeah.
it's a crazy freaking world that she's
Facts.
in because she will talk so much shit during that week, and then she'll cap it off by throwing ass. Like, what the hell is going on here?
For real.
But like, what were your thoughts on Carol Rosa's win here?
Dude.
And do you think that she, of course, earned that win?
Easily earned that win, man. What a performance. I picked Nora coming in. She had only lost to one woman, Jacqueline Cavalcanti, in her whole career. And once in her once in her MMA debut, she lost a decision. And then she lost again in her third UFC fight versus Cavalcanti again by split decision. But, I mean, Cavalcanti is an absolute beast, undefeated in the UFC. So I'm like, in my head, I'm like, okay, this girl's going to need to be an absolute beast in order to beat her. And I think that she beat her even better than Cavalcanti did. Rosa looked amazing, bro. From start to finish, just was on a whole nother level, man. Made Nora look so slow and just out of her league. It was just crazy to see. And once Rosa was able to really start controlling her in those second and third rounds, it's like, well, it's wraps. It was like I was already impressed in the first round with the stand up, and then once she got the control, it was over. So man, Carol Rosa, a huge bounce back win, and one she really needed, and one she got with flying colors. Probably the most dominant decision we saw, where it was not competitive like at all. Like 4 minutes and 53 seconds of control time in the second round. Are you kidding me? 7 seconds only. You were able to not be controlled. Come on, Nora. You got to do better. You got to do better than that. That's not going to win you.
I think the only other dominant performance we saw tonight, besides that one, was Vieta against Gore. Because I think that those two, these are the only two fights tonight where we're like, holy crap, that was one-sided.
Yeah.
But congrats to Carol. You voted Nora here. I voted Rosa. And
Rosa.
I know. That's why I always like these. I always like these wins. I always like these. Like also these
I know, dude.
outcomes
You got me, dude.
Because you definitely do get your revenge on me later on.
But those two made the difference. For real,
exactly.
Bro. Those made the difference.
But in our next fight, it was in the. By the way, this was a fight of the night bonus, between Elvis Brenner and Esteban Ribovic, in the lightweight division, and I want to say this, competitive striking wise, because they both had the exact same amount of strikes heading into the end, 123. But I do feel for Elvis Brenner, because he went 0 for 9 from the takedowns. 0 for 9. Brother, like he spent those 8 weeks in training, and then you couldn't get a single takedown in this fight. And it's not like any shot towards him. It just proves that Ribovic is fucking good from that. If he's able to stuff 9 takedowns and just keep you dominant the whole time, it's a crazy, crazy world. No knockouts from either man. 122 strikes from Ribovic against Brenner with 118. No reversals, no submission attempts. No ground game. There was no ground game whatsoever. They just basically just continued to try to. It was a bunch of sprawling and a bunch of stopping in the action. And Ribovic gets the big win here.
What a war, dude.
What were your thoughts on this war?
Insane. Like, Brenner, both these guys are absolutely warriors. Brenner, we've seen him in some absolute wars, and as well as Ribovic is like pretty much in a war every time he fights. And both these guys, it was a match made in heaven in terms of fan entertainment value. And they put on an absolute show. I was a little confused. I feel like it was 29-28. Like, I feel like Brenner maybe got the second. There was 2 30-27s. I was like, damn, they're harsh on him. But, man, both these guys put on an amazing performance. I don't think their stock goes down for Brenner. I think that even though he's on a 3-fight losing streak, all these guys are beasts. He lost to Olabai, Joel Alvarez, and now Ribovic. So, no shame in losing to those absolute beasts. And as for Ribovic, dude, this dude is, I think, going to be around for a long time and be a fan favorite, because if he fights like this, it's just going to be match made in heaven for him in the UFC, where he fights very often and he fights like that, and like putting on an absolute show and leaving it all out on the octagon for the Apex crowd. For real, they do it for the love of the game when they're doing that for no crowd, just putting on an absolute war. And man, I'm excited for him and what's he going to do next. He's now won 4 of his last 5, so getting the momentum back in on his side and looking more and more like a type of fighter that's going to make a lot of money with all these bonuses. He's won his fight of the night in his last 3 fights.
Which is nuts. Like,
Yeah.
damn, you really are a bonus king, my guy.
Yeah, I
And
guess maybe he's here for a good time, not a long time. If he's
exactly,
getting in fights like that.
El Gringo is here for a good time. His last fight, of course, Elvis Burner, this past weekend, a win. He lost to Nasrat Hakparas, this past March. Daniel Zellhuber, Terrence McKinney, Camille Leclerc, he defeated all. And then he always remember a lot of these guys come from the Contender Series. So when they make themselves to the UFC, a lot of these times, like, they're gonna be dominant, from start to finish. But then we also see those guys like, that into the UFC, they have all the hype in the world, and then like, this life throws so many roadblocks at them.
Yeah.
But El Gringo has been dominant. He's been doing his job. I do feel for his opponent, of course, Brenner, because he went from a 3-fight winning streak to now a 3-fight losing streak. I don't see the UFC cutting him, but in his last 6, of course, he's 3 for 3. He's gonna have to win his next fight, guaranteed. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about
now
it.
or never.
If you get a draw, you're cut. If you lose, you're cut. If you miss weight, you're cut. If you don't make the fight, you're cut. Like basically, you're cut. So you need to make this next fight, and you need to get the big win, and you need to show off. It's a good way for him to get the fight of the night bonus. You know what I mean? Because
get some money.
Still money in the pocket. But it's the fact that you need to win to be able to continue making those big bucks, unless you want to go to PFL. Which, by the way, thank you PFL for inviting me to Media Day last week, and
look at our boy.
Continuously skipping me every single chance you guys got until you finally gave me a question to ask, and then when I asked the question, you guys skipped me off on that one too. So like
so maybe
I don't know what I did.
Maybe not.
I don't know what I did. But small shout out because all the fighters were very nice to me, and all that stuff. But it's the fact that Don Davis does not like me apparently. I guess I haven't watched too many. I guess I don't watch too many Kevin Hart movies this year. So like they're like, oh, oh, you don't listen to Wiz Khalifa? Oh, you don't like Kevin Hart movies? Oh, we're not gonna book you, pal. Like okay, like just because they're investors does not shit, pal. But shout out PFL. I do want to give it a shout out. Jesus Pinedo. And what do you call it? Is a fun fighter. Logan Storley, Taira Jean. They're all great fighters. I forgot the opponent who defeated Jesus Pinedo. I feel so bad, but he did win half a million and the championship once again. He's a two-time winner. They were both trying to do the best to get there. Taira Jean stopped Logan Storley's takedowns and dominating the whole fight. I don't mean to go off into a whole PFL round here, but it was a great fight. It was a good night of fights. It's the finales these past couple of weeks, and it's always fun to see. But what's fun to see, our co-main event, Mateusz Rebecki against Chris Duncan, which I thought it was a different Chris Duncan, because I believe that a couple of years ago there was a heavyweight almost by that name. But
yeah, you're right. Actually, I just remembered.
He
was like ranked, I think. Yeah,
it was something. I don't know if he was like a bare knuckle, champion. He left the UFC, went to bare knuckle, came back to the UFC, and then lost. I was like, that's crazy. Like, how do you become a bare knuckle heavyweight champion and then you lose back to the UFC? Like, okay, but
there's levels to this.
There's levels to this. Mateusz Rebecki against Chris Duncan, the Scottishman, against the Polish Rebecki, and it was another fight of the night bonus. As Sav mentioned, 2 fight of the night bonuses, no performance of the night bonuses. What the fuck are they doing here? Like, what was that? Like, what?
For real, bro.
What kind of excuse is there, really? Like, there is none.
I don't fuck with it.
There were no knockdowns in this fight, but Rebecki landed 114 significance to 92. And if you watch this fight and you go off of stats, it's really hard to go off of stats, really, because if you watch this fight, it deserved fight of the night honors. It deserved. They went bloody on each other. They were throwing big blows. There was many instances where I thought Duncan was going to get dropped, where I thought Rebecki was going to get dropped, and these two
so much blood.
Oh. It was what do they call like the telephone booth, like booth boxing or whatever. And that's what they were doing to each other. The whole freaking the whole 3 rounds, 5 minutes each. They were trying to kill each other. 123 strikes to 95, but it truly felt like these two were just identical the whole time. It felt like
Mm-hmm.
nothing could miss with either guy, and they were having a blast. They had a Friday night bonus, and Mateusz Rebecki gets himself the win here. We both, sorry, Chris Duncan gets himself the win here. I looked at the red, and I looked at the red,
Right.
and my glasses hit my head, and I was like, oh, but Rebecki did not get the win here, even though
I
it
know,
looked
bro. It
like
was close, bro.
it was
It
so
could have gone
close.
either way.
It could have gone either way. I didn't even mind it at all. That's why I apologize in advance for mistaking the names, but it was so crazy that we got a fight like this. Two
Back to
back to
back.
back fights, back to back fight of the night bonuses. Like I've never seen this before, unless like it happened like years ago. But what were your thoughts on this barn burner between Duncan
Yeah.
and Rebetsky?
I was wondering who the hell is gonna win this fight because it was so close, man. Both guys just put on an absolute war, left it all out there, left a lot of blood in there. It was nasty, especially Rebecki, bro. His face gets swollen up like insane. Like he'll get a hematoma on his like forehead. Like, oh my god, it just looks so painful. And yeah, maybe that was what got him. What got Chris Duncan the win? Just the pure freaking deformation of Rebecki's face. The judges are like, yeah, we got to give it to the other guy because even though Duncan had some cuts, at least he was still recognizable. It was just one of
Exactly.
those fights, dude. That it's like a future classic, 100%. One of those fights where it'll be a deep cut back in 5-10 years. They'll be like, remember this one? Oh my god, that one was an absolute war, man. So
And it was so
Duncan,
close too because you see Rebetsky landed 88 head strikes. Duncan got 67 head strikes. The body strikes, Duncan had more with 20. Rebetsky had more with 19 leg kicks, and to the 5 leg kicks. Like they were going all out on each other. Like it didn't matter if it was head, body, or legs. They were trying to take out the target and landing
yeah,
so much. Like I honestly wouldn't have minded if it was even a draw because it was so freaking close that they both either man
totally.
could have gotten that big finish. Honestly, my apologies
Yeah.
for cutting you off there. I just thought
No, no,
about
you're
like
good. You're
that.
good.
It was crazy as hell. And it's the fact that we did not in the clinch. We got of course a majority of strikes from Rebetsky. From the distance, a majority of strikes from Rebetsky, but still Duncan pulled off it because like it just really couldn't. You couldn't tell who could get this fight. It could have gone to either man. And it was a good co-main event. It was a good fight of the night bonus for both
Yeah,
men. We got back to back for the first time I feel like in ever. And then we headed to the main event, which was a short notice main event in the flyweight division because we were supposed to get Amir Albazi, I believe, fighting Tatsuro Taira in this event, but that wasn't the case. Amir had to pull out because of he says that he didn't sign a contract, that he wasn't even cleared to fight for this event, and the UFC just announced that out of the blue. And was like, brother, you had all these weeks to say, hey guys, I can't fight,
yeah.
and you
What the fuck?
and then you waited until the last week to say, oh, okay, I don't want to fight anymore.
Yeah, what?
Makes you
That
think,
just
makes you
seems
think to
like a
yourself,
weird excuse.
what kind of bullshit is that, dude?
For real,
Um,
bro. That's just major bullshit. Either say you can't fight immediately and just not fight instead of literally having to do a short, late replacement where the guy replacing you doesn't have a full camp. Yeah, that is fucking weird.
exactly. And so it's a Japanese Tatsuro Taro against the South Korean Han Sung Park in the flyweight division, and I went with Park. You went with Taira, and you walked away with the win. Here's how this happened. Taira starts off the fight. These two are feeling each other out for the first minute, and then out of the blue, we get a Taira knockdown. He gets the ground
Yeah.
game, and his ground game is so slick. It's so sweet. He was able to keep Park down, and I don't know if Park saw any tape, heading into this big, this short notice week. I don't know because he's
Mm-hmm.
undefeated. He's undefeated. He's dominated a whole lot of opponents, and it's the fact that he came into this one and it looked like it was his first fight in MMA. He got dropped, his back taken. He didn't know where he was. It lasted a whole round of just ground and pound and the ground game, and then the second round we come into, right off the gate, Tatsuro Tada just fucking speared Park right into the cage,
What a
lifted him
performance.
up, spine buster, took the back. He was working his way for the choke. He finally sunk it in, and then submission win for Tatsuro Tada, which was not a bonus. not a bonus. Like I'm confused. What did Dana White want us to see?
For
What
real,
do we have
what?
to like first round
What I'm
finish?
saying,
No.
bro.
Second round finish? No. Third round finish? No. What finish did we need? Did freaking a politician have to come down and land a final elbow for him to say, you know what? That right there is like a 10 out of 10 bonus.
For
Like,
real, bro. It's just so
no,
dumb,
dude.
dude. Like,
But
for
what
real,
were
I'm
your
like,
thoughts?
all these amazing finishes, no bonus. Bullshit.
What were your thoughts? What were your thoughts on this finish? So Taira, you getting the big win here. How did you feel when you saw that submission sink
Yeah,
in?
I was definitely nervous before the fight started because, like you mentioned previously, Park undefeated coming into this, so many finishes, absolute dangerous fighter, and we're seeing Taira come off his first ever loss. So it's kind of a crossroads. Let's see where Taira goes from here. Um, he he passed with flying colors, man. I think that
Mm-hmm.
Park, I think maybe was a little bit underprepared, maybe not quite ready for this level. But hey, at least he took the fight. But yeah, definitely gonna need to go back to the drawing board after that performance. Um, I mean, it's almost like not even that much to really watch on film, where it's like he just got dominated. So really have to go back to the drawing board and regroup after that loss. But losing to someone like Taira, even though he's so young, it seems like, oh, I should be beating this guy because I'm older than him. I'm like, Taira is an absolute beast, and not to be like thought of as just some kid. Like this kid is a legit dangerous fighter, and I think that potential. I would say this 100% will fight for the title one day. Will he win it? It depends on who has it, but I could see it, man. I'm a huge fan of this guy. 2000 baby, so youngin. So hey, bro, lots of time for him to keep developing and keep developing his stand up. His ground game is already absolutely beautiful. We saw stand up a little bit, able to get the knockdown early. So if he's able to keep just being dangerous in every facet of the game, dude, he's gonna be a major problem for pretty much anyone. Like, no joke.
No joke about it. And here's the thing too. He lost undefeated streak recently, this past October to Brandon Royval on a fight night. And like I believe I don't know if I think they headlined it.
Yeah,
But they fought each other. He lost his undefeated streak, and then he went back to the drawing board. He fought undefeated Hun Sung Park, knocks him out. He lost his streak and then took his streak. I thought that was very, very poetic for him,
tough.
especially. And then here's the thing too. Him and Park both defeated Carlos Hernandez in under 3 rounds with a finish. He defeated Alex Perez with a knee injury from a takedown. He defeated Edgar Chavez, Jesus Aguilar, Cesar Vergara. In his debut, he defeated Carlos Candelario at a UFC Fight Night in 2022 by decision. So Taira has been working his way up. He got a big opportunity against Brandon Royval. He lost, went back to the drawing board, fought Park. I mean, he was supposed to fight Albazi, but he fought Park instead, and then
Yeah.
dominated that fight. I feel like if they decide to rebook that Albazi fight, that he'll be able to, go in there. And I feel like what would have been the result? Because if he pulled off that against Park, then how would Albazi fit into that category of the strategy? But
Yeah.
Park, whose nickname is a peace of mind, has nothing to worry about at all. That was a loss that everyone loses a streak. Not the elite are the only ones who really keep it, and it takes so much out of you to try to be the very very best. Prior to
Mm-hmm.
the loss, he defeated Carlos Hernandez, Shannon Ross, Seong Gok Choi, um, and then won the UFC. Wrote to UFC. Um, all the hype that came into him for this past weekend, it didn't go away from me. I still feel like he's a dominant fighter. He just next training camp, I feel like you just got to work in that wrestling. That
Yeah.
wrestling needs a lot of work on it. Whether it's back control, whether it's having to control the guard, or even controlling takedowns against the cage. He needs to work heavily on that. And if he does,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be a piece of cake for him and for his next opponent, where he's going to knock him out. He's going to continue his winning ways, and I would like to see these two fight off once again, whether it's for the championship or it's in another big main event like this one, where they're both prepared for each other. But congratulations that Taira wins the main event. Gets himself back into the win column after losing undefeated streak to Brandon Royval, who just lost to Joshua Van in a fight of the night, even almost fight of the,
Yeah.
I think fight of the freaking year, because that was crazy what we witnessed.
Mhm.
But that was a big win for you. You end off the main card and you end off the show with a big win under your belt. With Taira, I picked Poig. I lost the streak there, and it was good in the end.
Heck yeah.
Exactly. I finished off 8-4. You finished 7-5. Our
We'll take it.
all-time records are still looking crisp. You're still, of course, in the lead with the wins. I'm trying to get there. Like, it's gonna take me another 100 more
Yeah.
fights
We're gonna
be
have
able
to we'll reset in 26, so I won't
Yeah,
be caught up. Because you're destroying me percentage-wise. We had to add that in so we could really see the gap here. I need to
yeah.
close that gap.
It close that gap, and not only just that, I feel like 2026 is gonna be so freaking competitive. Like
Oh yeah.
we're gonna have to prepare ourselves. We're episode 25. I wasn't here for all 25 episodes, but we are a quarter in to our show, and I think that's amazing. If we get to episode 50, I gotta go to Arizona, and we gotta do a live episode where we spar each other in the background while we're doing. Like we have like above clip, it's like us sparring each other, and then the bottom clip is us like talking about like the fights and whatnot. So people can be like, "Oh, what's going up here?" And then they're still talking about the fight.
So like,
I think that would be pretty fucking
loser
tough.
doesn't get headgear. No.
That would be freaking evil. But
Bro, Dana's like, I have a
that,
new show idea. Power slap.
Power slap without the gloves. Like, what the fuck, you already have no fucking gloves.
Bro, it's like power punch instead of slapping, just a punch.
Exactly. But next card we have where are they gonna be at? Let's go see.
I think back in our favorite spot.
The fucking Apex.
So like we may as well just stay here for another week.
We might as well, because after that they have to go and travel for Duplessis versus Shamaev, which is on August 16. So this is our last fight. This is our last fight night before the big pay-per-view, and every time we get to a pay-per-view, it gets so fucking competitive, and it's rightfully so. It should be competitive, and it's gonna be a very, very good time. But our next card, UFC fight night in the Apex, we have Roman Dolidze against Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, someone we just spoke about, and someone who's been dominating wins over the course of the last year. But this card, it's pretty nice. I will say that. Light heavyweight action, Eric Mechanico against Cody Brundage opens up the card. Then we got women's action in the women's flyweight division with Julia Stolarenko against Gabriela Fernandez, the Brazilian against the Lithuanian. That's gonna be a lot of fun. Then we have Yoros Maric in the welterweight division against Gilbert Urbino. Jocelyn Edwards is back. She's gonna fight Priscilla Cachetta. And Priscilla has been a very iffy fighter, because I remember her first fight in the UFC was I don't know if it was her first fight or no, but she fought, remember, Valentina Shevchenko, and it was like 200 strikes to 0. Like, it was just no, I'm not joking. Like, it was 200 strikes to 0 on the ground and pound. Mario Yamasaki was the official for this fight.
Oh God,
it was scary. That main event was Lyoto Machida against the undefeated at the time Eric Anders, and Lyoto Machida ended the streak of Anders with a decision win. It was Machida's first fight after his drug suspension. That was many years ago. Machida's many years. Like, my fucking knowledge is crazy. I feel.
Facts, yo. The ball knowledge is crazy off the fucking dome.
Ball knowledge. Toshiomi Kazama fights Elijah Smith in the bantamweight division. Julius Walker fights Alfredo Soquero in the light heavyweight division. That would be our featured prelim. Then we open up with, this is actually scary. We open it up with Eric Anders against Christian Leroy Duncan.
What the?
Christian Leroy Duncan against Eric Anders. Like, what the fuck kind of like craziness that we this for? Then Miles Johns is back against Jean Matsumoto. Then we have featherweight action, Christian Rodriguez against Andre Feely. Andre's always so much fun to watch. Our co-main event, I'm going to say it, the UFC, listen to me. We have 3 women's fights on this card.
Let's go.
And our co-main event is Jasmine Lucindo, the number 8 ranked in this women's strawweight division, against the number 12 ranked UFC vet and future Hall of Famer Angela Hill. So we got ourselves a pretty good one right there.
Oh
That's gonna be
yeah,
that's gonna be very tough. And
I
then
love
the main
Angela
event,
Hill.
exactly. Angela's a fucking badass.
Yeah, she's funny
It,
on
it,
social too, bro.
oh, her and her whole team, everybody, like all of it, like Jessica Angela Hill, all of
Yeah,
them. They're very fucking hilarious.
for real.
In our main event, we have the number 10 ranked Anthony Hernandez, Fluffy nicknamed, against number 9 ranked Roman Dolizio in the middleweight division. That should be a lot of fun. It should definitely be a whole lot of craziness because
Mhm.
Fluffy Hernandez has been able to work his way out, land these big devastating shots and have a lot of big wins underneath his belt. But Roman Dolizzi is a guy that always tries to pull off the big upset, and I feel like Fluffy Hernandez will be the favorite heading into this one. Um, but
Yeah,
I did
he's
I
a
did forget to
beast.
do one thing. I did forget to do one thing. I know my hair looks awful,
Oh,
but
I forgot
since
about this
I'm
too.
able, I know, right? I know, right?
I
But
was gonna
what do
remind
you
you,
call it?
but
Yeah, imagine if you didn't. You're like, no, I don't need this bastard, doing anything big. But after an 8-4 card and a 7-5, 8-4 record, 7-5 record,
not
I
bad.
didn't get the main event right. I didn't get the main event right, but I still thankfully walked away with the majority of the wins. The percentage
Yeah,
is still on me,
this
thankfully.
guy.
But I want to ask you, do you know what time it is?
I don't know. I think it's like I don't know, like losing time. Nah, for me it's losing
I think it's the opposite. I think it's more so
time.
it's winning time, and
Oh,
it's another week of wins, another week of wins, another fantastic show, another great time
oh
spent
yeah.
talking for over an hour of these fights, and like, I can't wait for next week's because now we got another Apex card. If they could pull this off, if they could pull off another great card,
Yeah,
I'll be very very happy with
I
it.
know. Sometimes the
And
Apex,
if they
because it has
can't,
the tiny ass cage, it has some good fights.
hmm exactly. But yeah, that was our 25th edition of
Sheesh.
Talktagon via BodySlam with Max and Rami. Dun and Rami and his
Rami
little
and
brother
Max.
Max.
Hey,
But it was so much fun. It's so much a blast to be able to kick back,
facts.
talk with you. We couldn't do yesterday's show because so much happened this past weekend, and I was kind of reminded of some trauma, and I was like, I don't want to put anybody down or feel all mopey, so I definitely need to
Mhm.
be back in like my good headspace and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
And it was, and I'm definitely am. It was a great time to talk with you. It was a great time to cover this card,
Heck yeah, brother.
and we have two more this month, and it's gonna be very, very big because we just don't know what could happen.
Oh
We
yeah.
have Apex card coming up this weekend, and then we have yeah, I believe is it this weekend or is it next weekend?
Yep. It's this weekend.
It's this weekend, and then we got ourselves a big pay-per-view between Jukas, Duplessis, and Hamzat Chimaev, which it's gonna be very
Yeah.
rough to watch
I
because
can't
we
wait for
don't know who can win.
the build up. About to be
The
insane.
build up is gonna be so. Dude, that press conference is gonna be so much fucking fun because I cannot wait to see what Duplessis says. Oh, I stuck a
For real,
nerve,
bro.
didn't I?
Whew.
Um,
I know his shit talk is so good.
it's superior. But thank you so much to everybody who tuned in, all
Yes, thank you guys.
247 people. I know we didn't have like a lot of viewership in the very beginning, but of course everyone was like, "Oh shit, Talktagon!" And then once Randy popped in, I think everybody started coming in more.
Hmm.
But thank you so much to everybody who tuned in. It's always a blast to be able to talk fights with with Max and to be able to give our opinions and our insights on how we felt about each round and each fight and what could happen in the future.
Yep.
Um, Thank you always. Max, where can they find you on your socials?
On at Combat Combos on Twitter and X, and then at Brawl and Draw. There we go. For my
That's a
art
second shirt
account
now.
on
Is it a second
Instagram.
shirt now?
Yes, got my boy
Nice.
Stephen Fulton in
Hell
his
yeah.
Timberland. Hey, but yes, sir.
Hey.
Thank you guys for tuning in. I always have so much fun talking with my boy Rami, even though he kicks my ass in fucking picks every time. So get on Rami's picks if you guys want to, do a parlay. Not Rami though, unfortunately, Mr. California. But
Exactly. I gotta step
he
to the
seems to
Vegas for
have the
2
fucking
seconds.
knowledge, bro. He seems to have the knowledge. Follow his verdict, and you might, see his picks early.
You might actually don't do that. But thank you so much to everyone who tuned in. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, TikTok at the same username of Who Else for Rami. You'll always see either the red glasses or my beautiful face there.
Oh
Don't
yeah.
add me on Facebook. I will shoot you. And it will not be fun for you. But thank you as always for everybody who tuned in. This is another edition of Talktagon. We will be back next week. I believe we will. Herman will be back for Monday because there won't be any busy weekend this upcoming weekend for especially me, and there will be no people who enjoy pitch fetishes trying to ruin my mood. Um,
Exactly.
so so I cannot wait to see what happens next. Roman Dolizzi, Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. It should be a good card. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. And this was another edition of Talktagon with Rami and Max. We will see you again next week.